I used to think betrayal would come with fireworks, some dramatic moment where the truth explodes, and everything suddenly makes sense. But the real thing? It's quieter. It starts with little changes. A late meeting. A nervous laugh. A phone flipped face down one too many times. And before you know it, the woman you married is a stranger in your own house. That's how I found out my wife was cheating on me, slowly, piece by piece, until the truth hit like a blade I didn't even see coming. We were 2 years into the marriage when I first noticed something was off. Her name was Rachel. We met at a mutual friend's lake house party, hit it off fast, and burned bright. She had that kind of laugh that could turn heads at a funeral, and for a while, it lit up my world. We moved in together within 6 months, got married a year later. Things were good. Maybe not fairy tale perfect, but good in the way that matters. Shared inside jokes. Late-night Netflix binges. Weekend getaways that felt like miniature honeymoons. Normal stuff. Comfortable stuff. Then the shift began. Subtle at first. Missed calls. Excuses that didn't quite land. Work ran late, she'd say, brushing past me with her heels still on and lipstick a little too perfect for a client dinner. The smell of perfume she never wore before. More time at the gym, but not with me. I told myself it was nothing. People change. Schedules get hectic. I buried the pit in my stomach because love is supposed to be built on trust, right? But trust isn't blind. And I was starting to see things. There was this one night, ordinary, on the surface. She came home late, again, with this weird energy. Sort of buzzing, giddy. She dropped her purse and danced into the kitchen, grabbing a beer from the fridge like she'd just walked off a movie set. When I asked how her night went, she shrugged and said, "Boring. You wouldn't have liked it." Then she smiled. But the smile didn't reach her eyes. That's when the suspicion really sank its teeth in. I started paying closer attention. Her phone was always face down. She changed her passcode, said it was for security because she'd lost it once at work. She'd linger in the bathroom longer than usual, and I could hear the muffled tone of messages being read, then silence. Sometimes, when she thought I was asleep, I'd feel the bed shift as she slid out quietly to take a call in the hallway. One night, curiosity overrode restraint. While she was in the shower, I picked up her phone. Locked, of course. But I knew her too well, or at least I thought I did. Tried her birthday. Nope. Mine? No. Then our anniversary. Click. Opened. And there it was. A message from someone saved under Amy W. But the preview told a different story. "I can still taste you from last night. Same time tomorrow." My hands went cold. Everything inside me, gut, heart, spine, twisted at once. I didn't scroll further. I didn't need to. I just sat there, holding the proof of my own humiliation. When she stepped out, towel wrapped around her, I was already dressed. Keys in hand. "Where are you going?" she asked, sensing something in the air. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Out." She reached for me. "Is something wrong?" "No. Everything's perfectly clear now." I didn't raise my voice. Didn't throw accusations. I walked out of that house and didn't look back. I didn't need to. The image of that message was burned into my mind. I disappeared. Changed my number. Quit my job. Moved states. Rachel never saw me again, until 1 year later. And she had no idea that I'd spent that year planning everything. Every message. Every trap. Every witness. She thought I'd be weak when she came crawling back. She had no idea what I'd become. She was so good at lying, I almost wanted to believe her again. I didn't sleep much after that night. I drove for hours, through cities I didn't know, highways I'd never been on. Every time I pulled over for gas or to stare blankly out at some empty roadside diner, her face would flash in my head. That smile. That lie. That smug, unbothered way she said, "You wouldn't have liked it." She was right, though. I wouldn't have. I didn't. I spent that night in a motel. One of those roadside places where the vending machines hum louder than the heater. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I sat on the bed, her phone in my hands, still unlocked. The digital autopsy of a dead marriage. Turns out Amy W. had a very real name, Kyle. Kyle Pearson. He worked with her. Not directly, but in the same building. I found him on LinkedIn. Smug bastard with a jawline that probably did most of the work for him. Sales guy. Of course. I kept digging. Text threads that didn't even try to hide what they were doing. Photos. Hotel receipts forwarded to her email, one even billed to our joint credit card. But it was not the novel that depressed me the most. It was the conversations. The casualness. He's so naive. It's almost cute how much he trusts me. We'll just say it's a work retreat. Every message was another nail in the coffin of the man I'd been. The man who brought her flowers for no reason, who left notes on the fridge, who defended her when friends said she flirted too much. Turns out they were all right. I was the idiot. But idiots don't stay idiots forever. The plan started that night. I backed up every message, screenshotted everything, sent copies to a hidden cloud account, 2 burner drives, even printed some of the worst ones in case I ever needed to show someone in person. I knew if I walked away quietly, she'd rewrite the story. Brian abandoned me. He just couldn't handle a strong woman. We were already having problems. Not this time. I wanted her exposed. I called a friend I knew from college, worked in IT security now. We hadn't talked in years, but once I explained the situation, he was in. He helped me set up a GPS spoofing app and log into our shared Apple account to track her location history. It was all there. Hotel visits. Late-night detours. One that stung particularly hard. The night she told me she was visiting her sister, she was actually at Kyle's apartment. They even took selfies on his couch. Matching wine glasses. Same damn throw blanket we'd picked out together at Target, now draped over his lap. I gathered everything into a neat little digital file labeled Truth. Meanwhile, I ghosted. No notes. No closure. No fight. I knew disappearing would get under her skin more than any screaming match ever could. And I was right. Within 2 days, she was blowing up my phone. Then my friends' phones. Then my mom's. Where are you? Please talk to me. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It didn't mean anything. He was just something different. I didn't reply. Not once. In the background, I watched her spiral. First came the guilt. Then came the lies. I got emails, long, rambling essays about how we had grown distant, how she felt neglected, how Kyle was just a wake-up call for what she really wanted. Us. Every message was a masterclass in emotional manipulation, and every one got filed away in my growing archive. I changed my name on social media, killed old accounts, moved out of state, started fresh. She couldn't find me if she tried. And yet, a year later, she did. She showed up in my new city, hair darker, slimmer, wearing the necklace I gave her for our first anniversary, like it still meant something. I've been looking for you, she said. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, I know. She didn't see the storm coming, but it was already here. People always reveal themselves eventually. All you have to do is wait. She showed up outside my new office. I was walking back from lunch, earbuds in, thinking about nothing in particular, when there she was, standing on the sidewalk like a ghost I'd tried to forget. Same brown eyes, same smirk, but the confidence wasn't there anymore. She looked like someone playing the part of who she used to be. Brian, she said like it was a prayer. Oh my God, you look. I cut her off. What are you doing here, Rachel? Her mouth opened, then closed. The act was already falling apart. I had to see you. I know what I did. I messed up, but I never stopped thinking about you. I stood there in silence, the air between us heavy with all the things I wasn't saying. I let her squirm, let her drown in the silence. I didn't know her comfort anymore. I've been in therapy, she blurted, trying to fix myself. I've changed, Brian. Really? You found me after a year just to say that? I asked flatly. No. She paused, eyes darting, calculating. I want to try again. I let out the smallest laugh. Dry? Cold? Not amused, just tired. You want a clean slate? She nodded fast, too eager. Yes. I'm not the same person I was. I made a terrible mistake. I pulled my phone out of my pocket, opened the folder labeled Truth, and held the screen up. The color drained from her face. There it was, a screenshot of the message that started it all. He's so naive. It's almost cute how much he trusts me. Remember that? I asked. That was the night I was at your parents' house fixing their porch, wasn't it? She swallowed hard. I was confused. I flicked to another message. If he ever finds out, I'll just cry and say it was emotional, not physical. Her hands trembled now. The mask wasn't just cracking, it was disintegrating. Brian, please. Then I showed her the hotel receipt. Valentine's Day, while I was booking us a cabin in the mountains, you were at the Hilton with Kyle. Room 612. She was pale now. Really pale. You said you had a migraine. I didn't think you'd be smart enough to check. I said, no, you didn't think I'd ever leave. She reached out to touch my arm. I flinched back. That moment, that one flinch, was when she realized the truth. She didn't know me anymore. And she had no power here. "I've been trying to make this right," she said, her voice cracking, tears welling up. But her tears weren't for me. They were for herself. She was grieving her control. "This isn't a second chance," I said. "This is your reckoning." I watched her lips part, searching for a comeback. Some lie, some appeal, some way back in. There wasn't one. "I'm not done," I added, stepping closer. "You think finding me was a victory. But all you've done is walk into the courtroom I built. I've got the messages, the call logs, the tracking data. You're not walking away from this clean." Her eyes widened. "What are you going to do?" I leaned in, my voice quiet but sharp. "You're going to see what it feels like to lose everything slowly. Just like I did. One piece at a time." She didn't say another word. Just stood there trembling, mascara smudging, mouth open in disbelief. And I walked away. Revenge isn't about rage. It's about precision. After that day, she didn't try to contact me again, for a while. Maybe it was fear. Maybe shame. Maybe she finally realized she wasn't in control anymore. But more likely, she was just regrouping, waiting for the next angle, the next play. Didn't matter. I was already 5 moves ahead. While she was licking her wounds, I was talking to a lawyer. A good one. The kind of guy who doesn't advertise on benches, but whose name opens doors at courthouse elevators. I gave him everything. The messages, the receipts, even the cloud backups. He took one look at the folder and said, "She's gonna wish she'd never left her apartment." We filed the divorce quietly. No warning. Just a sharp, cold summons dropped in her mailbox 3 states away. A week later, my lawyer got a panic call from hers. "She's surprised," he said with a dry chuckle. "Wants to know why you're being so cold." "Tell her she can ask Kyle," I said. He smiled and wrote that down. Now, you'd think she'd lay low after that. Maybe reflect. Maybe find some humility. Not Rachel. 2 days later, I got an email. No subject line. Just a photo. Her in bed. Alone. That stupid necklace again. A caption. "Still yours. Always." I didn't respond. I just filed it under desperation. But it told me something useful. She was still watching. Still hoping for a crack in the wall. So I gave her one. I started letting bits of my life show online again. Not personal things, just enough to get her attention. A check-in at a jazz bar. A photo of a dinner plate and 2 wine glasses. A tagged comment from a woman she didn't recognize. None of it meant anything. But to Rachel, it meant everything. The messages started again. "Can we talk? I miss you. I made a mistake." "You've moved on already? That fast?" Then came the shift. She started posting, too. Photos of herself looking happy. A new haircut. Gym selfies. One with a guy in the background. Tall, blurry, not Kyle. It was bait. Sloppy, desperate bait. I ignored it all. But I was watching. Because here's the thing about someone like Rachel. They don't just betray you once. They do it over and over, in cycles, because they only understand love through control. So I waited. Patiently. And then she gave me my opening. An acquaintance, we'll call her Morgan, reached out. She used to work at the same firm as Rachel. She said, "You might want to know. Rachel's been trying to land a job here. She used you as a character reference." I laughed. "Oh, did she now? Should I give the hiring team a heads up?" "No," I said. "Let her show up for the interview first." The morning of her interview, I sent the hiring manager an anonymous email. Attached was a zip folder. Screenshots of Rachel mocking clients. Messages where she joked about novella her way to a bonus. Even one where she bragged about faking a sick day to go to Cabo with Kyle. She didn't get the job. Didn't even get past the lobby. Later that night, another message came through. "Why are you doing this to me?" I said I was sorry. "What more do you want?" That was the moment I realized she still didn't get it. She thought this was about revenge. But it wasn't. It was about showing her the world without the lies, the spin, the manipulation. Showing her what happens when the mask slips and no one believes her anymore. She had played the long con for 2 years. Lied. Cheated. Planned a future on my back, with someone else in my place. And now she was left exactly where she deserved to be. Alone. Watching from a distance. Knowing the one man who would have walked through fire for her was now the one feeding it. You don't destroy someone's life and walk away clean. The truth has a longer reach than any lie. After the failed interview, she went quiet again. But not for long. I knew her. Silence wasn't surrender, it was a reset. A chance to pivot, repaint the narrative, cry to new people about how the big bad husband ghosted her and ruined everything. I let her try. Hell, I wanted her to try. Because this time, she wasn't up against the old version of me, the trusting idiot who didn't read the signs. She was up against a man who saw everything, and who had receipts. One by one, her stories began to unravel. First, it was her job. I sent a little envelope to HR at her current firm. Not anonymously this time. I put my name on it. Inside were emails she wrote to Kyle during work hours, some of them on company accounts. One, in particular, joked about billing the company for a client lunch that was really just a rendezvous at a downtown hotel. I didn't need her to get fired. I just needed them to know. It worked. I heard later from a mutual friend that she was asked to resign. Something about ethical concerns and misuse of company resources. Then it was her social circle. Remember Kyle? Yeah, he was still around off and on. When things were good, he posted her on his stories. When they weren't, she posted sad quotes about betrayal and finding yourself. So I reached out to Kyle. Sent him the chat logs. Every flirty message she'd sent after she said she was committed to making it work with him. Every time she called him, just a rebound. A full transcript of how she told another guy she was only staying with Kyle until something better comes along. He blocked her the next day. She posted a photo of red wine and a caption that said, "No one stays. Maybe I'm the problem." Yes, Rachel, you are. But the real crack came weeks later. From her own family. Her sister reached out to me. That surprised me. We'd never been close. She'd always taken Rachel's side blindly, I thought. But now she had questions. She'd heard rumors, seen some screenshots circulating. Rachel had apparently spun a story about me, abandoning her for another woman. I sent her the folder. The whole thing. She read every word. She called me an hour later in tears. "I'm sorry. I had no idea. She told us you just left." "Yeah," I said. "I did." After I saw who she really was. From that moment on, her support system, what was left of it, began to dissolve. Friends grew distant. Coworkers kept their conversations polite but short. Her sister stopped answering her calls. And Rachel? She unraveled. I wasn't even watching closely anymore. The updates just came to me. An old friend sending me a screen grab of a late-night Facebook rant. Her face drawn, captions like, "No one tells you what it's like to lose everything." Her tone swinging wildly between victimhood and venom. She was angry, but she didn't know where to aim it anymore. She'd run out of people to blame. Except herself. That's when the final blow landed. She tried to file for some of the assets from our divorce again. Claimed she was entitled to more. That my sudden change in lifestyle suggested hidden accounts. My lawyer made one call to her attorney and sent over the full breakdown of our settlement. All above board. All clean. But we added something new this time, a cease and desist. From that moment forward, any attempt at contact, direct or through a third party, would result in legal action. The next day, I got one last message. A burner account. No name. "You're cold. You never really loved me if you could do this." I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. The truth doesn't just set you free. It burns the whole cage down first. The day the final message came, something inside me finally settled. Not joy. Not triumph. Just silence. For months, I'd been driven by the momentum of betrayal. By the sharp edge of justice. By the fire of knowing I'd been lied to, used, discarded like an extra in the story of her life. But now? Now it was done. No more messages. No more drama. No more pretending. Rachel had become a shadow. And shadows disappear when you stop facing them. I spent the next few months rebuilding in a way she could never understand. Not just my finances or my career. Those were the easy parts. The real work was internal. Quiet. Gritty. The kind of healing no one claps for. I deleted every photo of us from my hard drive. Not in a rage, but like cleaning out a wound. Necessary. Final. I started running again. Not from something for something. I'd forgotten what it felt like to move without weight. Without the dull ache of suspicion riding on my shoulders. I saw a therapist for the first time in my life. Not because I was broken, because I refused to stay broken. I needed to understand how I let someone like Rachel inside. How I'd silenced my own instincts to keep the peace. How I mistook performance for love. Turns out, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you got played. The hardest part wasn't forgiving her. It was forgiving me. For not listening to my gut. For believing her too many times. For making excuses in the name of loyalty. But once I did, God, it was like breathing clean air for the first time. I moved into a smaller place. Just mine. No more shared closets or his and hers towels. The silence was brutal at first. Some nights, I'd wake up and instinctively reach for the space next to me. But it faded. Like any ghost, it lost power once you stopped feeding it. People started saying I looked lighter, like I'd shed something. They were right. One night, sitting on my porch with a cold beer and no one to impress, I realized something profound. She didn't break me. She revealed me. She forced me to see what I'd buried, that I'd been performing too. Trying to be the perfect husband. The easygoing guy. The man who never complained, never questioned, always forgave. That man died the night I read that first message. The man who took his place doesn't need validation, doesn't beg to be chosen. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm awake. And in that stillness, something new bloomed. Peace. Not the kind you post online. The kind that lives in your bones. The kind you earn. The kind forged in fire and silence and long walks alone. And when people ask what happened, I don't tell them the whole story. I just say, she taught me a lesson I'll never forget. And I survived it. You don't come back from betrayal as the same person. You come back forged, not repaired. If you've made it this far, maybe you've lived some version of my story. Maybe you've stood barefoot in your own kitchen at 2 a.m., rereading a text that took your whole life apart in 9 words. Maybe you smiled through clenched teeth at a dinner table full of people who didn't know your heart was hemorrhaging beneath the surface. Maybe you've stood in front of the person you gave your everything to and realized they gave themselves to someone else without even blinking. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. It's not your fault. Their betrayal is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their weakness. They didn't cheat because you weren't enough. They cheated because they were too small to carry the weight of something real. Because they wanted the thrill of destruction without the discipline of devotion. And because they thought, foolishly, that you'd never walk away. But you did. Maybe not right away. Maybe you stayed longer than you should have. Maybe you made excuses. Maybe you believed their tears. Maybe you held the door open long after they'd stopped knocking. That's okay. It means you're human. It means you love deeply. But now it's time to close that door. Lock it. Walk away. Because here's what they don't tell you about healing. It doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like silence. It feels like eating alone without sadness. It feels like laughing again, genuinely, not as a mask. It feels like walking through your own front door and realizing there's no one left inside to lie to you. You won't heal by hating them. You'll heal by reclaiming everything they tried to dismantle. Your self-worth. Your time. Your name. I'm not writing this for revenge. That part's over. The damage was done, and so is the reckoning. What I'm writing now is a reminder. To you, maybe. Or maybe just to the man I used to be. You will rise. Not because they apologized. Not because they begged you back. You will rise because you chose to get up, alone. Stronger. Smarter. Quieter. But never weaker. One day, someone will look at you and see the scar where the wound used to be. And they'll ask how you survived. You'll smile. And you'll say, I was betrayed, but I was not broken. And that will be enough.